everyone, before we begin our presentation, I would like to introduce my teammate. Okay, firstly we have Shah Ikmal, secondly we have Afiq, thirdly we have Ashikin, and fourthly we have Shaukina Fakiha, and lastly me myself, Nura Atira binti Mafari. So today we will be presenting our topic, which is importance of logic in decision making in everyday life. In this presentation, we will discuss how logic helps people make better decisions, solve problems effectively, and also avoid a common mistake in thinking during daily life situations. We hope our presentation will give everyone a better understanding of why logical thinking is important in both personal and professional life. Thank you, and let's begin our presentation. Every day, we make many decisions in our life, such as choosing what to do, what to eat, managing our finance, and also solving daily problems. Most of these decisions are influenced by our emotion, personal experience, and also belief. However, relying only on emotions can sometimes lead to poor or impulsive decisions. This is why logical thinking is important. Logic helps us think rationally, analyze situations clearly, and make a wiser decision based on facts and reasoning. In this presentation, we will discuss the importance of logic in decision making, common logical fallacy, the role of logic in problem solving, and the importance of balancing logic and emotion in everyday life.
Hi, thank you very much. And I'm Muhammad Sheikman. I will present about the main point of the logic help the individual solve the problem effectively. For my first point is the help individuals is logic think clearly before making decision. When people use the logical thinking, they can compare, choice, understand the consequences, and avoid making careless mistakes. Logic is very important in daily life, such as in education, work, relationship, and financial management. For the examples, as a student who has many assignments will use the logic to arrange their schedule properly instead of playing game all night. The student decide to finish important tasks first to avoid stress and late submission. In conclusion, logical thinking help people make smarter decisions and solve the problem more effectively. For my second main point is the logic prevent people from being influenced by false informations. For nowadays, many people easily believe fake news on social media without checking whether the information is true or false. Logic help people examine fake evidence and reliable source before they believing in some things. Which means logical thinking also protect people from scam, misinformation, and misunderstanding. It encourages people to think carefully instead of reacting emotional. For example, if someone receives a message saying they want a purchase price online, a logical person will first check the website, contact the company, and confirm whether the message is real before giving personal information. Therefore, logic is important because it helps society reduce misinformation and make better judgment. Third main point is the logic improve communication and relationship. Logic helps people to express their idea clearly and calmly. When people think logical, they can explain opinion in a more organized and respectful way. This improves discussion, teamwork, and relationship with others. Mostly, logical thinking also reduces misunderstanding because people listen carefully and respond fairly instead of becoming emotional too quickly. For examples, during the group assignments, the members may have different ideas. By using a logical discussion, they can compare each suggestion fairly and choose the best solution without arguing. In conclusion, logic helps people communication better and maintain a healthy relationship with others. Thank you very much.
So now I'm going to explain about common logical error. What is common logical error? Common logical error, also known as a cognitive bias, refers to systematic mistake, faulty logic, and also misinterpretation that are frequently seen during the decision-making process. All humans are risk to have this cognitive bias, which may affect their ability to interpret data and also reach reliable conclusion. Next is in cognitive psychology. Cognitive bias described as a systematic pattern of thinking that may lead to incorrect judgment. This cognitive bias happens because people often use heuristic in their daily life. Heuristic means when people are relying too much on their mental shortcuts to process the information quickly. This shortcut can be used in our daily life because it can save our time to change. However, it may lead to predictive reasoning error if people are relying too much on this heuristic. The first type of cognitive bias that I'm going to explain is confirmation bias. So what is confirmation bias? Confirmation bias happens when people are preferred to believe the information that they already know and ignoring all the data that disagree with them. Once they have their own opinion, they would like to search and find the information that support their beliefs instead of considering the other opinion. As for example, one student believes that Lenovo is the best laptop brand. Because of this, the student only pay attention to the good review and ignoring all the bad review about the laptop. Even if the other brand offer the better price and also better features, the students still choose Lenovo as the favorite laptop because they only focus on the information that support their belief. The second one is I'm going to explain about anchoring bias. Anchoring bias refers to a tendency of people relying too much on the first information they receive. So I'm going to give you one situation. For example, a mother wants to buy a new tablet for her son. At the first shop, the price offer is 550 ringgit. Later, she finds the same tablet with price 530 ringgit after discount. From this situation, she may immediately think that the second shop offered a better price compared to the first one. This is because the first price becomes the reference point in her mind. So the next one is availability heuristic. So what is availability heuristic? This bias happens when people judge something based on how easily the examples come to their mind. People often think something more frequently if they can remember the situations more easily. As for example, if one person sees the news about shark attack in the social media, they may assume that a shark attack is very common, even though it's very rare to happen. This situation demonstrates on how repeated information can influence the people's judgment and also perception. So another common bias is negativity. So what is negativity bias? Negativity bias refers to a tendency of people to focus more on the negative experience compared to the positive one. This is because a negative experience creates a stronger emotional effect and also easy to remember. So one example of this negativity bias, after the presentation, the student may receive a compliment from their friends and also teachers. However, if one person complains about the presentation is quite confusing, the student may continue thinking about the negative comment for the whole day. This situation happens because the negative comment usually creates a stronger negative impact compared to the positive feedback. So the last cognitive bias that I'm going to explain is overconfident bias. This overconfident bias happens when people are too confident about their skill, decision, and also knowledge. People with this overconfident bias may ignore all the advice and also fail to check the fact because they trust their own choice. So when they believe only their choice are correct, it can impact to error in logic and also judgment. So for the example, one business manager wants to launch a new product without do discussion with their team and also do a proper market research. The manager believes the product will success in the market with their own experience. However, the product is failed in the market due to bad planning and also lack of market research. From this situation, it shows on how overconfidence can lead to poor decision making.
So now, I will explain the balance between logic and emotion in decision making. As shown on the slides, our decisions are influenced by both logic and emotions. In everyday life, people constantly make decisions related to studies, work, finance, and also relationship. Because of this, both rational thinking and emotions are important in helping us make the best choices. First, logic helps people think rationally, analyze evidence, and solve problems effectively. Logical thinking allows us to evaluate situations carefully before making decisions. For example, when students choose a university course or career path, they usually compare costs, opportunities, and also future benefits before deciding. Logic helps people make decisions based on facts and reasoning rather than impulse. At the same time, emotion also play an important role. Emotion help people show empathy, understand the feelings of others, and build a strong relationship. This is important because humans are social beings, and many decisions involve communication and interaction with others. For example, Teachers, doctors, and leaders need emotional understanding to support and motivate people effectively. However, relying too much on emotion may lead to impulsive decisions. When people become too emotional, such as angry or stressed, they may make choices without thinking carefully about the consequences. On the other hand, relying too much on logic can also be harmful because decisions may become cold and insensitive, especially when human feelings are ignored. Therefore, the best decision come from balancing logic and emotion by combining rational thinking and also emotional understanding. People can make a wiser, fairer, and more effective decisions. Emotional intelligence is also important because it helps improve judgment, communication, stress management, and also relationship with others. In conclusion, logic and emotion should work together rather than against each other. A good balance between two helps individuals make a better decision in both personal and also professional life.
Next, I will talk about logic in problem solving and everyday decision making. First, logic is important because it helps us to understand the real problem and think carefully before making decisions. Instead of reacting emotionally, we can think in a more rational and organized way. Next, logical reasoning makes problems easier to understand by breaking them into the smaller parts. It also helps us to avoid emotional or impulsive decisions. Besides that, logic helps us to compare different solutions and choose the best option. It also helps us to avoid mistakes and save time. Furthermore, logic helps reduce bias in decision making. We can make fair and consistent decisions without being too influenced by the emotions or personal opinions. Overall, logic is very important because it helps us to solve problems and make better decisions in everyday life. Thank you.
Alright, so now today I'll be explaining about the impact of technology and social media on logical thinking. So, firstly, social medias are algorithms that can affect the way people think. Platforms such as TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube usually recommend content based on what users already like or agree with. Due to that, users are usually exposed to similar opinions and may become less open to different perspectives. This can strengthen confirmation bias and weaken critical thinking skills. Secondly, social media also encourages fast content consumption. Most content today is short and quick, such as reels, shorts, and shorts videos. As a result, many people spend less time thinking deeply or analyzing information carefully. Over-reliance on digital platforms may reduce attention span and affect reductive thinking, especially among students, sadly. Then another impact is the spread of misinformation. So false or misleading misinformation can spread very quickly on social media, making it very difficult for users to distinguish facts from opinions. If people do not evaluate information critically, they may believe that inaccurate information and make poor decisions in real life. So to conclude this, although technology and social media do provide us easy access to information, they can also negatively affect logical thinking if users depend on them too much. Therefore, it is important for individuals like us to practice critical thinking and evaluate information carefully before believing or sharing it. Alright, so now I'll be explaining about recommendations. So the first part is people should definitely think carefully and analyze facts before making important decisions. Now, before buying an expensive product, individuals should definitely compare prices, quality, and usefulness of the product instead of purchasing it based on personal emotions or advertisements. Then the second one is individuals should definitely think carefully before acting. Instead of reacting immediately, clearly defining the problem and evaluating possible solutions can lead to better outcomes. It is also helpful to use structured thinking tools such as mind maps or decision-making charts to organize ideas and compare alternatives more effectively. And then the third one is educational institutions should definitely strengthen digital literacy and critical thinking among students. So this can definitely help students especially to identify misinformation, recognize bias, and evaluate information more critically when using social media and digital platforms. And the fourth one here is collect enough information. So before making a decision, people should definitely try to collect enough information and try to look at different points of view. Additionally, it is important to check the information, whether it is true or not, instead relying on first impressions or personal feelings. Last but not least, we recommend that logic and emotion should be developed in education and the workplace. Develop logical thinking through problem solving, build emotional intelligence through teamwork and cooperation, maintain emotional control during stressful situations, and balance logic with information to achieve effective decision making and positive outcomes. Alright, so now to conclude this presentation, we can see that logic definitely plays a very important role in helping people make rational and well-informed formal decisions in daily life. However, you can see modern technology and social media can also negatively affect logical thinking through the spread of misinformation, algorithm bias, and shorter attention spans. But despite these challenges, individuals can still strengthen their reasoning abilities through education, awareness, and critical engagement with digital content. So therefore, strong logical thinking skills are essential for making wise and sensible decisions in today's digital era. That's all from us. Thank you very much.